Apple's real secret sauce is their global supply chain. And that all started when Steve Jobs came back to Apple in 1998. Back then, Apple was bloated, losing cash, on the verge of bankruptcy. So Jobs did something radical. He made a big bet, not just on the design, but on a guy named Tim Cook. See, Tim Cook wasn't a flashy product guy, but he was a supply chain savant from IBM, and he specialized in managing global logistics. He began shutting down Apple's US factories and moving everything overseas, especially to China. In 2001, Apple officially entered China, and it quickly formed a partnership with a then unknown Taiwanese manufacturer, Foxconn. Now, these days, a lot of people have heard of Foxconn. They're Apple's main manufacturer in China. And because of that relationship, today, 90% of Apple's manufacturing still happens in China. Tim Cook's finely tuned supply chain machine was built for a world without trade wars. And unfortunately for Apple, that world doesn't seem to exist anymore. So now with tariffs being slapped on every country, why doesn't Apple just start making iPhones in the US? See, the reality is, even if Apple wanted to, it would probably take them over a decade to set up their manufacturing here.
You know, in the US, you could have a meeting of tooling engineers, and I'm not sure we could fill the room. In China, you could fill multiple football fields.
Apple can't just copy-paste China's manufacturing expertise to other countries like the US. Chinese factories, especially those run by Foxconn, have perfected the art of producing incredibly complex devices at enormous scale with minimal defects. Building out that same level of expertise in the US would take years, maybe even decades. The reality is, for the foreseeable future, there's just no place like China when it comes to manufacturing. Back in 2019, there were no tariffs placed on iPhones, and Tim Cook was also able to get tariffs removed on Apple Watches. So Tim Cook seems to have a pretty good relationship with Trump. He even convinced Trump to visit an Apple factory in Texas. And during that visit, Trump said that when you build in the United States, you don't have to worry about tariffs.
When you build in the United States, you don't have to worry about tariffs.
And I think that's exactly the play that Apple is trying to make again. Apple recently announced plans to invest a whopping $500 billion in the US over the next 4 years, including building a new factory in my hometown of Houston, Texas. Apple is also doubling their US Advanced Manufacturing Fund, and they're ramping up investments in AI and silicon engineering. So they're betting big that this might help them secure another round of tariff exemptions. The reality is, Apple won't ever be able to move all of their manufacturing to the US. And at the end of the day, it just might come down to Tim Cook's ability to charm his way out of Trump's tariff torpedo. Or Apple just might be cooked. No pun intended.